That film look, that's something that a lot of people are after nowadays. And the way that I have found to achieve that look is through Dehancer. Now, Dehancer is a film emulation plugin for Davinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Final Cut. And I gotta tell you, it's pretty powerful. So today we're gonna take a look at it inside of Davinci. So let's hop right in. All right, got a couple clips, got some daytime shots, a couple of nighttime shots. Let's start with this one right here. I've already got Dehancer dragged on it, so let's close my node tree out, crank this on. So start at the top, you've got your input source, so you can choose to go from Rec 709, which is what I'm at right now, but then you also have all of these options and you can choose your camera. Typically, I use my own LUTs to get to 709. I don't usually use these right here, but they are pretty effective, all things considered. So going down from there, you've got all of these different options right here. You've got your exposure comp. So if whatever film stock you're putting on here kind of makes your footage a little too dark or too bright, you can adjust it with this. Got your temp comp right here, so make it warmer, make it cooler. So here we go. Here's your film stocks. You've got all of these options. I think there's a little over 70, and I've come to like a few in particular that I use pretty consistently. So we'll start with Portrait 400. I like just kind of how it warms up everything, but you can also enable and disable this. So if you want to just have the effects of Dehancer, but not have, you know, the look of the film stock on it, you can disable this. And now you can adjust the grain, you can adjust the color head, you can adjust all of this, the halation, the bloom, vignette, without having the influence of whatever film stock. So for the time being, let's go ahead and enable that. Okay, so film compression is pretty interesting. It kind of condenses everything, if that makes sense. So let me go ahead and enable this. Yeah, so it really affects the highlights, and you can adjust the amount that it's doing that with the impact slider. So if you look up in the clouds up here, you can really see what it's doing. And look at my scopes down here. Yeah, you can just kind of see that it kind of brings everything a little bit closer together. So I'm gonna put that right around 50. Then you got your white point. So if you drag that to the left, kind of blows everything back out. You drag it to the right, it kind of brings it all back in. Go ahead and set that back to 100, and then tonal range. I like to use this because it just kind of gives you a little bit more control, especially over the highlights. So you got expand here. To be honest, I don't use this much, but if you see, it kind of really brings down the shadows, and same thing with the white point. You can kind of bring down the highlights, bring it back up. But yeah, like I said, I don't usually mess with this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and disable it. You've got your print functions down here. Once again, don't really mess with this, but you know, if you wanna really get into the nitty gritty of what you can do with all these film stocks, you certainly have the option to do that. You go ahead and disable this. Color head. So this is more or less your S-curve. Like I'm no genius in this sense, but that is my understanding of this. So let me go ahead and enable this. And you've got your shadows, midtones, and highlights. So if you drag your highlights to the left, kind of makes everything a little bit cooler. To the right, a little warmer, same thing. Midtones, left, right. See what I'm saying? Shadows, left, right. So sometimes what I'll do, I'll come down here and just get more or less an S-curve going, if you can kind of visualize that. But for the time being, let's disable that. Film grain. I usually go pretty low on this. Like I usually keep it between 1 and 5 because it can get pretty intense. But just for the video's sake, let's keep it right around 20. Halation. I'll zoom in a little bit here so you can see this better. So more or less around the highlight portions of your image, this is gonna add a little bit of a red distortion around it. So let me turn the mask mode on so you can see what it's doing. I'll crank the impact up and the amplify. So all of this red is what it's affecting. Let me kick this off. Yeah, you can really see it right there. All of this red, it just kind of adds a little bit of a good feel to it, and it really helps to make this convincing. Let's go down to bloom. This is probably one of my favorite features of Dehancer, so let me kick this on. It more or less rolls off the highlights. It kind of gives it that softer feel. So same thing that I did with Emulation. Let me kick the mask mode on so you can see what it's affecting. All of this stuff right around the edges. Turn the impact up. And the amplify, just so you can really see it exaggerated. Turn this off. Boom. Look at that. I think it looks good. It kind of adds a little bit of a softer feel to the highlights. Definitely don't like to go over the top like this though. Really makes the image look good. Vignette, self-explanatory, turn that on, darkens the edges. Got a lot of control over the size. Same for the exposure. Really like this. So, okay, let's go over to another image. Let's do this one. Now, night shots are usually better to be able to see bloom, just like especially around these neon signs. And Halation, same thing. So let me really zoom in on here. You can see that right there on that parking sign. Turn the impact up. You see all that red that's showing up, and then same for the bloom. Let me turn the impact up. Yeah, amplify. That really looks good, especially all around these lights. I really enjoy that look. Come back up here, let me show you a couple of different film stocks that we got. So right now we're sitting with the Kodak Vision 3 250. Oh, let's try Polaroid Sepia. Boom. Yeah, like I can't say enough positive about Dehancer. I love this plugin. Like, I don't have enough positive to say about it. I mean, I've seen some people that kind of have like minute complaints about it, especially with, like, I think one of the most common things that I saw was when you drag it onto your node, like either it will have the default film stock on, which I think for me is the Kodak Vision 3. Some people don't like that, and then some other people, when they drag it on, there's no film stock enabled, so when that happens, your footage just goes black. But it's a simple fix. You just pick your film stock, or you disable it if you don't want to use the film stock. So, I don't know, that's not that big of a deal to me. I really enjoy the feeling it gives to my footage. Like, it really just gives it that buttery grain. I don't know. I feel like I'm talking in circles. This is a fantastic plugin. It works wondrously on Davinci. Now, I have another video of me working in Premiere. Not the case in Premiere. Now, I don't think that that's a Dehancer issue. I'm pretty sure that's more of a Premiere issue. And I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've probably seen a lot of these different YouTube creators talking about how they're switching from Premiere, switching from Final Cut to go over to Davinci. I'm one of those people. I mean, I started in Premiere, and I don't know, just the more time that I spent in it, the less I enjoyed it. Dehancer within Davinci is awesome. I love it. So, all that being said, go check it out. Go get a free trial. I'll drop a discount code in the description for 10% off. Like, yeah, you won't regret it. This is a fantastic tool. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.